Hey everyone, thank you for coming back to Stage 3 Entertainment. Today, we're going to talk about the Sony PlayStation Classic. So, earlier this morning, Sony decided that they wanted to release the Sony PlayStation Classic. It's $100.
Comes out December 3rd, I believe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
comes out December 3rd, $100. So it has 20 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And only 5 have been
Announced so
announced.
far.
So it's Tekken 3,
Final Fantasy
Final
7,
Fantasy 7,
R4, Wild Guns or something like that, and then something other. Either way, it's like 2 games that we care about. The rest,
they're sort of like
or whatever
what?
right now.
So, with that being said, because that's coming around the corner, what 3 games are you really wanting on the PlayStation? You go with one, I'll go with one. We'll go
dreaming for. Well, one of them I thought about because I had a couple ideas. One I actually really want is Parappa The Rapper.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be on there because they kind of just recently re-released it for
Re-released,
PS4.
yeah.
But or they could do Parappa the Rapper 2 or whatever. I don't know. It's something because it's something very simplistic that anyone can get the concept of. Kind of just especially music games have evolved now. Like when it first came out, people were kind of dumb and didn't understand rhythm
They didn't
games.
understand the rhythm.
Everyone's played a Guitar Hero or something like that. So I think Parappa the Rapper would be a good, nice, fun choice that everyone could play and get the hang of. So.
And not to be like anything, but that was actually a very fun game for me when we were playing it as a kid. My cousin had Parappa the Rapper. It was enjoyable. I really did love that game. Hopefully, PlayStation give us that one. The one I would like to see would be Gran Turismo 2. One of the, I say in my personal opinion, one of the best racing games that's going to be on the PlayStation. And what I liked about it was like the different tracks, and it was one of my first couch co-op games besides Donkey Kong 64, which we will
Probably
keep
talk
that
about one day.
Yeah. So yeah, it was pretty dope. I like the racing mechanics. The steering could be better. I recently played it on my PlayStation, but yeah, it's pretty
This
dope.
was one of the first like popular simulations for racing.
Yep.
Like where you weren't just doing like an arcadey race type game. It was like, oh, this is like
An actual racing
yeah,
game.
like you actually
Okay.
have to pay attention to like how cars work and everything. So I definitely would say that deserves to be on there. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones I was thinking of. One, I'll just cut right to it. Metal Gear Solid has to be on there.
If it's a PlayStation console, Metal Gear Solid has to be on.
Like people talk about their crashes and their Spyros, but I think Metal Gear. When I think of PlayStation, that original PlayStation startup noise, then going into Konami noise, like Metal Gear Solid. I remember like way back when getting like a Pizza Hut pizza. They had a little when PlayStation 1 first came out. They had these demo discs, and the only game I remember playing was Metal Gear Solid 1, and it was just the first little area where you're hiding from the guards. I was like, this is the most crazy thing I've ever seen. When I knock on it, the guards hear it, and I sneak around the footprints to see the footprints. It's still to this day like the game holds up, which is one of the biggest reasons why I think it has to be on there. Because like a lot of the games on PlayStation might not feel too great to play still. Metal Gear Solid 1 still fantastic.
It's
game.
fantastic, but my only problem is going to be PlayStation might not put it on there because it's rated for mature.
That's true. I was worried about that too. I was thinking between that and like the whole fact that Kojima. Well, Kojima works specifically. He's with like Sony specifically now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
It'll be interesting. I would love to see Metal Gear Solid on there.
I feel like you have to have some M-rated games on there, otherwise you're not putting your best games forward. The main thing I do worry about is it's a bigger game because it was 2 discs, but so Final Fantasy was like 4, and that's gonna be on there. So I think Metal Gear has to be on there.
To be on there. Okay. My second game, even though it's a cross-platform game at the time, SpiderMan 2000. That game, even though we were talking about this in a couple of videos beforehand, it just wasn't great in terms of mechanics anymore. But now, like, going back to the nostalgia feel, because you did release Marvel Spider-Man, why not give
Spider-Man's
us...
the hotness.
Right. Why not give us that one? I think it's gonna be pretty dope, especially with all the different costumes you could play with. And it'll just be a little like, hey, go back to the past and actually see what a very successful Spider-Man game is.
See the roots of where you're at now. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And like I said, the hardest part's gonna be them trying to get the rights to put it on there. I mean, with that said, clearly they're in close with Marvel and everything. Let alone it is SpiderMan who has partial rights through Sony. Like, I think if there's gonna be a superhero game that's kind of like third party, Spider-Man would be it, definitely.
Exactly.
My last game that I would pick to put on to the PlayStation Classic, probably Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Okay.
Just because
Arguably one of the best PlayStation games.
yeah, it's too easy of a sale to have that on there because Castlevania Symphony of the Night is like the Castlevania game.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna pick any of them to play, that's when you go to. And the fact that the PlayStation, I remember they had the Castlevania 64 was like, wow, look at the Symphony of the Night game. It's still using 2D graphics. We're using 3D. 64 game was trash. And then Symphony of the Night is like considered like an all-time classic. Just the fact, and I think that one might be rated M2 just because of blood gore or whatever. But I think
It's still a phenomenal game.
Yeah,
It's still one of their best games. Well,
Yeah.
I say the best game on the PlayStation.
yeah, I think like because something like with that Nintendo did with a lot of theirs is like they put on their classic systems, hey, these are the very important games, even if they're third party like Mega Man with Capcom. They got to be like, hey, Konami, let me get some of that Castlevania over here, and they'll throw it on there, and that's enough for reason. Well, almost enough reason to buy it by itself. So
Exactly. And that I also say Castlevania will be another one. And then my third game, which we got 3 of 6 games that are immature, Resident Evil 2.
yeah, I was thinking hard about Resident Evils.
Like, you're doing a remaster in
Already.
January, right?
Mhm.
You're already doing it already. Why not prepare people
Get people
by
hyped.
giving out
Mhm.
Resident Evil 2, right?
Yeah.
The original one. It's really dope. Leon still is, in my personal opinion, one of the best Resident Evil characters to play as. And it did capture the magic as the original Resident Evil did, but just made it so much
Yeah.
better. Like, that was, if you would play any of them besides Resident Evil 4, those were what you call horror games, besides Silent Hill. But, like, those were the games that you were like, damn.
Yeah, because like you don't even necessarily need to play Resident Evil 1 to play 2.
Play 2. Not
Because
at all.
Resident Evil 2, oh, I'm just a cop. I'm in the zombie infested town. Because Leon's pretty much could be as lost. You were like, oh, this is going off.
Exactly. You're like, oh, I'm in Raccoon City.
I have this big, huge zombie who keeps popping up out of nowhere trying to kill me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
All right, let's see how that goes, right? So, I don't know. It'll be dope if they put that in there and then a month and a half later, remaster.
That would make a lot of sense. Just because it's like, hey, we know you're really hyped for this remaster. Play it here first. See the original and then come here and play.
it.
The only thing I would worry about is if they end up trying to put Resident Evil 2 originally, like with the remaster, like try to sell it as a bundle.
It's
That'd be
gonna
the
be
only thing that
so
would keep it off of
dumb.
the thing, though. Yeah, I think there's a lot of good games in the PlayStation library, and I think the PS1's a good way to go over just the because like Nintendo. I would have rather just had a Super Nintendo Classic. I know a lot of people like the Nintendo Classic. And eventually, down the road, hopefully we get a PS2 Classic, because there's a lot of stuff on there I really like.
Games.
But I think the PS1, certain stuff like how we talk about Castlevania, you need something that's kind of simple like that and Parappa The Rapper, because those aren't graphically intense.
No.
Because when you do get to stuff that does use 3D models, that's where it kind of shows its age a bit. But they still have a lot of stuff like Resident Evil and Metal Gear on there that will still look perfectly fine. Even Gran Turismo, just because it's car models, it's not base models.
Exactly.
So they need to stick with stuff that doesn't have to look beautiful and still play great. So
You're right. And then my only thing is for PlayStation, because they're doing this classic out, I wonder if Nintendo is gonna have
try to push your 64 out real quick. I mean, they have the library for it. The hardest part's going to be getting controllers.
It's gonna be controllers, and like I was telling somebody, if they finally do it, let us play cartridges. I see it beating out the Sony PlayStation.
Because that's a huge problem with Sony PlayStation. It's like they have an open button. That's how you select your games, but you're not really putting a disc in there.
And that's my biggest gripe. Sorry, I'm gonna gripe for a quick moment. That's what is my biggest gripe with these retro consoles. It's like
they're not consoles.
They're not consoles. They're just like your what are those stupid things?
Like Raspberry Pi.
Right.
Well, I was thinking it's like a Raspberry Pi, but I know you're talking about like the ones you go to the mall and they're like, hey, buy
this for
games.
$40. These are downloaded games. Sure, I'll take that home.
Yeah.
Like like the Sega Genesis one that came out. Like that was That's what this is. It's not really an actual retro. I mean, it's not an actual console. It's just a video game entertainment box, right? So I want somebody. I'm just saying it out there now. I want somebody give me an actual retro console,
like a first party one, because like they
Yeah.
have like the Retron out there, which is a third party like multi console where you can put your cartridges in. But Nintendo, let me give you my money. Sony, let me give you my money by making just
Giving
re-release
me
the system
a system.
with like 20 games already downloaded into it. Because even the old crappy Sega flashbacks, you could do that. And that thing was like $40, and it looked horrible when you put the cartridge in. But like, let me put something where I can put my 64 cartridge in and actually play with HDMI.
Exactly.
HDMI. That's the big thing about this PlayStation I like a lot is has
It's
HDMI out. That's a huge reason I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, so we'll see how it goes in December. But
Let us know what you guys think in the comments, by the way.
And tell us what games do you want on a Sony PlayStation Classic. Like, share, subscribe, turn
Tell your
on notifications. Tell your friends to watch us. We will have more content coming out. Just stay tuned. We'll have more for you.
We're out.